going to move a couple of weeks of athletics. Now we're going to move into high technology. So I'm going to introduce our first speaker, and then he's going to introduce the primary speaker. And the first speaker, of course, is Ryan McReynolds. And I know most of you know Ryan, but do you really know him? Ryan is a native of Farragut, Tennessee, graduated from Farragut High School, ran cross country there. He said he wasn't that good, but he ran cross country there. And went on to Tennessee Tech, got his degree in '94 in civil engineering. Best thing that happened to him at Tennessee Tech was he met Mary Robin, who was getting her degree in chemical engineering. She was a Kingsport native. So I got to know Ryan when he's first a new engineer for water and sewer in Johnson City in '94. Then from there, we saw some potential in him, so we encouraged him to get his master's. He did get an MBA from ETSU and left Johnson City in 2001, got recruited by one of the gurus of municipal public works in the region, Bobby Jobe, to a private firm for 3 years, and then he came to work for Kingsport in 2004. City engineer, active public works director. Unfortunately, when I got the job in 2006 here in Kingsport, I knew Ryan was here, knew what he was doing, and knew his capabilities. And so he continued up, and now Chris promoted him to deputy city manager. I think he may be the first to ever carry that title, which is a pretty comprehensive. That's the number 2 guy. So he has a lot of stuff under him. He's been very active in the Tennessee and Kentucky water associations, and also Tennessee Public Works associations. And of course, he's still married to Mary Robin, 4 kids, 3 of which are through DB. All were athletes. And his last child is Sally, who's probably the best athlete. She's going to be a sophomore. She was the only freshman to make the varsity girls basketball team last year that went to the state. So she's a pretty good athlete and all. But Ryan's been very active in a lot of things. One of the most significant things he did was before I retired, put Ryan in charge of being the staff liaison for dealing with the franchise with AEP. For those that didn't know, we had a 99-year franchise, very unusual, that was set up by the original founders of the Kingsport. It was going to come up in 2016, and so he had to look at all those options, which we did have some options. Okay. And then, of course, ultimately they did another deal with AEP, but it's much more controlled. It's supposed to be 20 years, right? He tells me we can get out in a year, at least that's the last I heard. We need to keep our options open. But it's my pleasure to introduce Ryan McReynolds, and he will introduce our primary speaker.
Well, I appreciate that. I didn't know John was going to go as in depth. I always thought I was the number 2 guy in Kingsport because I was over the wastewater plant. I didn't realize it was actual deputy. But is this on? So I wanted to give a little bit of framework for the presentation of Floyd Bailey. Basically in Kingsport, and we've got some retirees, Chief Addington and Calvin has worked in Kingsport, some others. Our IT department grew up, and many companies might have been this way, kind of as a function of the finance. It was ledger management, moving from books to a computerized system, and really advanced the operations greatly, and it resided well within that for a long period of time. And really one of Chris's passions when he got into his position, we had seen that there's so much more that this realm of activity can do than just be a support system for the organization. It operated very well as a support system. Things break and they get it fixed. But what was occurring is all of our managers were going to conferences and we're finding different technologies and various things, and we're bringing them in. And the burden was really on the individuals like Chief Addington and others to go figure out what's the best, what makes your department more effective, efficient. And there's a whole realm within organizations, corporations, as well as governments, that the IT side was moving from being a support organization to really being that one that leads, not even coming beside the groups, but almost even pushing the groups, becoming the expert. So it was a mind shift that Chris had seen we needed, and he put IT under my umbrella, which doesn't make sense since I don't even know where my archived emails go. But I do know what his vision was with where we needed to go with this organization. So we went and really I had a working group with John and Wes and others, and I saw this position called a Chief Informational Officer. Very different than we had ever had. This elevates this position to be right upon the leadership team. They are moving the organization forward. We're taking leaps and bounds in different ways to take the informational, the digital, all this information, the monitoring that's occurring throughout the city. And I'm not talking about facial recognition. I'm talking about the way that we capture data, whether it's water meters or anything else, and saying, okay, how can we come beside our organizations to move them to be the best they can for the citizens of Kingsport? So I put together, with the help of many, kind of a job description, and I really thought there's no way that someone in this area will be able to meet it. And probably a lot of prayer went into it and came across a fellow that was serving in a very similar way up in Abington, Floyd. And from the very first time we met in the interview process, we saw, okay, he gets a bigger picture, because that typically is one thing, a negative to a very technical type of position is you're focused in on just a problem solving, networks or something else. Where Floyd comes to us with a much broader picture of what cities are trying to accomplish, whether it's public safety, public works, those type things. He had done this in Abington for years and just saw an opportunity to move to a larger, bigger, and one that really needed his assistance. And so what built that in Floyd was go back past Abington, had been there for years working in this type of arena. He had, if you're familiar with Johnson City, as you first entered Johnson City, there's a Gateway store that opened up. And Floyd's education isn't as much in the IT realm as it is in like organizational management realm. And he went to the Gateway store. He has a master's, and I forgot already, I didn't bring it. In management. Yeah, Troy State, undergraduate. But he came to that Gateway store more as coming beside different businesses to build networks at the time. And in that, he saw that dentist office to other offices, they all have needs. And how can I listen to their needs? And how can I implement hardware and software to fix whatever needs to occur? And really had a passion for that type of activity that then drew him to Abington, that then he comes to us. But Floyd, I can't say enough about his involvement in the city of Kingsport. I've mentioned to Chris in the past week, I've said if Floyd had not been here and we had to go through CrowdStrike, which hit, and the organization that he has created, we still would be reeling. So the city of Kingsport is very fortunate to have Floyd in this position. I wanted to give some background to say, his position is really a leadership position. Chris meets with him on about a monthly basis to see where everything is going. And it's a position that will really leverage all of our assets and abilities to move the city into providing services much more effectively and efficiently for our citizens. So I appreciate this opportunity to invite Floyd to come up and talk to you all about smart cities, and I appreciate if you all would welcome him.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you all. I am very thankful to be here with you. Okay, make sure you can hear me so that I'm going to pull this over just a little bit so my mouse will work and I can change the slides. I just want to say I'm thankful to be here today. I'm very thankful to be able to speak before you, and I want those of you who are very technical in your knowledge and skill to not get too excited, because this is not a technical talk. And then I want to say to you who feel like maybe you struggle with technology, don't get worried, because this is not a technical talk. We are basically going to talk about concepts and dreams and visions of what we can be, and hopefully I'm leveraging things that we are all very familiar with, places we've been, things we've done, experiences that we've had, and that you will be able to relate to the concept of what a smart city dream actually is. I'll first of all say that Kingsport already utilizes smart technologies. So it's not like this is something that we're starting from scratch and we don't have any resources available already. We do, and it's wonderful. In fact, I say all the time, Kingsport is blessed with some of the richest infrastructure already for smart cities implementations and growth for the future. I'm excited about that, and I'm thankful to be here for that reason. My wife and I, we've been married 38 years. We have 4 kids. We have 9 grandchildren. You're going to get to see one of my grandbabies on the screen here in just a few minutes. But that's what makes me tick, is my family, my grandkids, my wife, and they love and take great joy in coming and visiting Kingsport. When they come into town, my grandchildren, we take them up to Bays Mountain. We walk them down Broad Street. We enjoy riding on the carousel. We do all the things that you would expect young families to do, playing at the aquatic center. It's just a real joy to think about all of the possibilities that have already been realized and the possibilities that are still yet to come. So when I say we're becoming a smart city, I really actually titled this Becoming a Smarter City, because it's not a question of whether or not we already are smart. It's a reality that we want to keep getting smarter. So, all right, mouse. So let's talk about vision. The vision, as it's just summed up into simple terminology, that we would create a connected, inclusive, sustainable city where technology serves. That's what technology is about. It's about serving humans. I actually have a T-shirt from IBM that says "Free the Humans." That's one of their mottos. Ultimately, it boils down to the reality that we want to have a connected environment where everybody has access to the technology that they need. It's inclusive. That's where the everybody comes from. It's not just for the rich. It's not just for the middle class. It's for everybody, and everybody has the same ability and possibility for connectivity, and then to be able to sustain it. So it's something that we're not going to be lurching ahead and then falling back. It's going to be something that we are going to implement, be able to sustain, and continue to grow from there. And ultimately realize that it's about service to our citizens, to the residents, to those who choose to make Kingsport their home. So people will say, well, why don't we just leave well enough alone? Why can't we just keep the technology we have, and we don't really need to do anything big or better? We don't need to be like the big world cities and implement all this crazy facial recognition stuff, which, trust me, I agree. I don't like my social credit score to fall because I love to jaywalk to the bagel shop. You know, that's just something I love to do. But anyway, then they would charge me more because I'm jaywalking. Anyway, the question of why is a reasonable question. That's sort of what I'd like for us to think about today. Why? Why do we want to do this? Well, every generation in history has had as a simple goal to work smarter, not harder, right? We want things to get better, and we get excited about things getting better. And so if you go back in time and you remember when women got so excited in the 50s with what came out as automatic technology. Everything was automatic. The things in the kitchen, the things in household care. It was an exciting time, and people were going out and buying washing machines and dryers and dishwashers and appliances to set on their countertops, and they were so excited about it because everything's stamped right on it. It's automatic. And you see there, English automatic washer, because that's what was great about it, is that it was automatic. And, you know, before people were washing their clothes, they just had to do it in a very physical manner. And I've heard stories from my grandmother and my great-grandmother, horror stories. I just can't even imagine. But when the 50s came, they said, let's get automatic. And then food. Later in the 60s and 70s when we got microwaves. And I can remember when I was young that my parents would say, we don't want to buy one of them microwaves. We don't know what it's doing to our food. And we were all scared about the concept of buying a microwave and using it for cooking. But they were advertising it, and they were saying things like, this is the greatest cooking discovery since the fire. And that's how they would advertise it. And they believed in this new technology. And sure, there were plenty of people saying, we don't need these newfangled cooking methods. We got plenty the way we are. Get rid of this stuff. But now you see where we are. You can hardly walk into a kitchen that doesn't have a microwave. They're built into houses when you buy them. So it's just sort of become very common. They're working smarter, not harder. Then we want to play more, not less. And so I can remember early on, you know, the early gaming systems that kids like to play, and they were pretty simple, you know, like a dot that flashed across the screen with a single line paddle on each side, and you had to move your paddle up and down and bounce I used to play that game for hours. I mean, hours. And I think now, how in the world could I stand it? But, you know, it was so newfangled, it was exciting, but then it wore out. It just wore out. So we had to do something bigger and better. And this was my favorite video game. I've spent more money in a Galaga machine than you would care to know when I was a teenager. And in fact, I think I could have bought myself a really nice muscle car if I'd have been smart. But anyway, that was my favorite video machine. And then, of course, computers, personal computers, home computers, they started coming out about that time, and we started bringing the games into our houses so that we could play more. And I could have kept the decades and generations going on, and you know what it would have been. Playing more, not less, because that's what people want to do. They want to keep playing more. They want to keep growing to where they can do more with whatever it is. The games and recreation and such, because we expect things to follow a natural course of increasing, going up. That's our expectation, and I think that's a reasonable expectation. So let me ask you this question. This will be fun. Who remembers the clicker? This was an early form of a television remote control. And it was called the clicker for a reason, because when you pressed the button, it went click, click. It was advertised as being ultrasonic. And technology, as it was in its day, was amazing because the television could sense that ultrasonic sound of the button hitting an aluminum rod inside the clicker. And when it would hit it, it would click and then click back up. Very similar to what we now use to train our dogs. It's very interesting. But what's interesting about that clicker is we had a television that used the ultrasonic space command. You can't see that, but these words right here is space command. That's how this is what they thought of their technology in the day. And we had the space command remote control in my house. And my dad, being quite comical, although I didn't think so when I was a teenager, he would walk through the room and he would shake his keys and the change in his pocket and change the channel on the TV. And I would be like, Dad, I'm watching this. You know, that's the way it was. Well, that may be something that you're familiar with or remember. If I can get this thing to switch now. I need a clicker. I think my mouse died. Here.
I got a quarter in my pocket.
You need to. There we go. So this is more modern, a lot more modern. It's interesting because this one advertises, this is Logitech. It's a very, very popular technology company of our day currently. This is the Harmony remote. It advertises itself as the most powerful, intuitive remote. Okay? And what's interesting about that is this is actually becoming obsolete. And the reason that it's becoming obsolete, come on. You know, technology, wherever technology is, here's the next thing that I want you to think about. You remember this? Who can sing it with me? Clap on, clap off, clap on, clap off. The clapper. You know, this was amazing technology. Same kind of technology, ultrasonic technology. But now we have just our voice. We would have never even imagined in a million years that you could walk into the room and say, as I say every night as I'm going to bed, Alexa, turn off the light. And I walk on out of the room and all the lights turn off. Or when I come out in the morning, Alexa, what's the weather? She tells me the weather for the day. Alexa, how's the traffic? She tells me the traffic report. These are things that I just do as a normal course of my day. When I get home in the evening, I'll check the news, I'll check where my packages are, and it's all vocal. It's still truly ultrasonic because it's about sound waves. And although the clapper was about the sound of your hands clapping together, and it could sense that technology could sense that sound wave. Now we just have so much better technology, and we're excited about that new technology, and we want that new technology, and everybody's buying it very commonly. So it's very interesting. Here's where I promised you. This is my 10-month-old grandson, Miles. He lives down in South Georgia. He's 10 months old. He can't talk yet. He should be saying a couple of words, and we're wondering why he's not saying any words yet. But nonetheless, we consider him to be super smart, as you can imagine. We would, because he's our grandson. He's got a remote control. Do you see what he's doing? He's talking to the remote control. Why does he do that? He's seen his siblings talk to the remote control. He can't speak words, but he knows that if I take this device and that it's supposed to get me the show I want to see on the TV, and it's not working for him. So he's a little bit frustrated. And he keeps pushing the buttons and talking and pushing the buttons and talking. But it's really amazing to me that these young babes, these new generations that are coming up, already sense the value of the technologies that are being created and implemented into our homes. And so they're going to grow up with the expectation that these technologies are going to be a part of their everyday life. And so this is why ultimately it's important for municipalities like the city of Kingsport to take very careful inventory of the technologies that we are implementing for the citizens of our area and their everyday lives. So as we grow, these are things, and this won't take long, I promise. I know there's a lot of words on this page, and I didn't like that. I actually thinned it down. But I wanted you to at least think about what we desire. We desire to achieve goals and meet the challenges of our time. I think everybody can come together on that simple premise, that we want to meet the challenges of our time, achieving the goals and objectives that we have set for ourselves. And the way that we do that relative to public safety How do we ensure that drivers and cars and travel is safe in our area so that we keep our people secure and safe? Clean water, we figure that to be a pretty basic expectation. But as time goes and technology gets better, we have smarter water technologies that should be implemented not only to make it more affordable from the standpoint of cost to the city to produce it, but also to ensure that we're making sure that we're keeping clean water, refuse pickup, ensuring that we're doing the very best job we can, utilizing the taxpayers' dollars to do it efficiently and effectively, using the technology that's available to improve our methodologies, to improve the studies of the landfills, so we don't wind up like some of our neighbors. We want to make sure that we're using technology and the latest and greatest technology. I would say that the next thing, using technology and digital communication and data to gain a better picture of the service needs which engage the community and solve community issues. Things like connectivity. How do we ensure that every household has an equal access opportunity to connectivity and to the technology that they need for their children and their families to enjoy the benefits of this technology, this accessibility and mobility, ability to go about. I know I'm saying ability a lot. I apologize for that. There's just a lot of things that, from a technology standpoint, we need to be aware of and paying attention to use the technology and innovation to improve the lives of the citizens through communication, through automation. Automation is a big thing, but I'm going to remind you of something right here at this juncture since I brought this word back up. Remember the ad from the 1950s? Everything was automatic. We just altered the word a little bit. It's the same thing. We just want to automate things just like they wanted to automate things. They made things automatic. We call it automation. And so in the sense that we are no different than our predecessors, we are still just trying to grow up with the technologies that are available to us and keep that steady incline of improvement in our technology. So we improve equitable and inclusive access to quality of life for all the residents of the city of Kingsport. And things like smart housing and economic opportunity are all things that will come as a result of decisions that we make in that regard. So the last slide that I want to show you is it's a borrowed slide, and I'm not going to go through all the elements of it because I've talked about most of it already. But I want you to know that I pulled this off of the internet, and it's basically the same smart city infographic that's used by every metropolitan area in the state of Tennessee. This is the same one they use. They use it in Nashville, they use it in Chattanooga, they use it in Memphis. They use the same concept, and they talk about the very same things. And so what I'm going to suggest to you is that over time, in the very near future, relatively short time, we should all be very familiar with the concepts of this infographic. So that when we think about what we're doing as businesses, what we're doing as the municipal government, what we're doing as citizens in our community, how the things that we are doing relate to different aspects of this infographic and how they all come together to truly give us what the world refers to when they say smart city. This is really what it boils down to. And it's simply this: our lives deserve to be the best we can make them. And we should never, ever, for any reason under the sun, feel like change is bad when it comes to technical advancement. We loved it when we were young. We should encourage it when we're old. Thank you so very much for your attention. Welcome any questions or thoughts, comments that you might have.